The real reason that high achievers burn out so quickly really has nothing to do with workload. In this video, I'm going to show you the hidden belief that keeps you stuck in this destructive cycle, and I'm going to go over the first step to finally break free from it. That way, you can keep climbing higher without destroying yourself in the process. You see, most people think that burnout is a result of doing too much, but in all reality, it happens because of who you think you have to be, which I know probably doesn't really make sense right now, but it will here soon. So stick with me because this is going to change absolutely everything for you. It took me a decade to figure this out, but once I did, everything improved. My business, my health, my relationships all started to grow and weren't constantly falling apart. The truth is that stagnation scares the living hell out of me. I want nothing to do with it. I get anxious and downright miserable when I'm not constantly pursuing more for myself. And over the years, I've tried to figure out exactly why this is because it feels like a curse and a blessing. It's a curse because if I'm not careful, I will completely destroy myself in the pursuit. And it's a blessing because I don't have to worry about maxing out in life. I want nothing to do with contentment. I want to know more. I want to experience more. And most importantly, I want to become more. Back in the day, I used to think that there was actually something wrong with me because everywhere that I looked, it seemed extremely common for most people to stop growing around the age of 30. They would get a decent job, buy a house, find a partner, maybe have a few kids, and just decided that that was good enough. I remember looking around and thinking to myself, why was it that no matter how much I accomplished, I still felt empty inside? Why was it that I was constantly taking on more until I eventually collapsed? Needless to say, this was a very confusing time of my life. I also noticed a very interesting pattern about myself when I started asking these questions. If I was busy and overstacking my plate, my overall morale was generally high, but if I wasn't stressed out beyond belief, I pretty much hated myself. And it didn't matter if what I was doing every day was actually moving me closer to my goals. I just needed to make sure that my planner had 500 different objectives for me to complete every day. And looking back, it was almost a mental sickness. That's when it finally hit me that my entire self-worth was based off performance, results, and productivity. I was on this constant emotional roller coaster because obviously I wasn't able to get everything done that I wanted to every single day. I had other responsibilities. And sometimes life just throws you a curveball and your plans are going to change. And you have to be okay with that. This was a miserable way to live because all I wanted to do was show up as my best self. And this was stopping me from doing it because I was always stressed and burned out. And that's when I started to dig deeper to find a solution. What I discovered is that high achievers like myself burn out so quickly because our entire identity is based around performance. We will keep the pedal to the floor until we eventually crash. And I mean, yeah, sure, we are going full speed in one direction because we want to accomplish a certain objective, but deep down, it's because we don't feel like we are enough unless we are overdoing it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to achieve as much as possible in life. It's actually the complete opposite. I want you to climb to the highest peaks possible. What I really want to drive home, though, is that sprinting up the mountain is not the most effective way to get to the top. Going full speed at all costs all of the time is why you constantly feel wiped out. It's almost as if your internal battery never gets a full charge. Constantly running on low is why simple tasks feel heavier than they should, and pushing harder only makes it worse. On top of that, you start to feel emotionally numb. You become irritable, withdrawn, and cynical about other people and life as a whole. You would never admit that though, so you start to detach from all emotion as a defense mechanism. That way, you can keep moving forward. It might even get so bad that you start to view other people as obstacles standing in your way. Your friends, your family, your partner, everyone gets pushed to the side. That way, you can keep charging ahead. This is just scratching the surface though. If left unchecked, your overall health starts to decline until your entire system collapses. Then nothing is getting done because you are completely burned out and you have to spend what little energy you do have putting yourself back together. Reaching this point needs to be avoided at all costs. You don't realize it in the moment, but you started slowing down way before the crash even happened. You just convince yourself that everything is okay because you're staying busy. Eventually, though, there will be no denying it and you'll be forced to stop. And when this happens, you will inevitably start to beat yourself up because your entire self-worth is tied to how much you are getting done. Except now, your productivity is garbage because you burned yourself out. The real irony here is that it's now going to take you 10 times longer to accomplish your objective because you're not operating as your best self. And the process is going to be dragged out because you're having to take time off to recover. It's worth stressing once again that the best way to get to the top of the mountain is not by sprinting. You're also never going to reach the top if you're always running on fumes. Luckily, all of this can be avoided. It might be hard to believe right now, but you can continue to chase massive goals without running yourself into the ground. All it takes is a different approach that allows you to continue to grow without destroying yourself along the way. That's exactly what we're going to get into next. This new way of operating and pursuing your objectives involves detaching your identity from relentless performance and just staying busy. I mean, yes, productivity absolutely matters, but it only pays off when it is directed with absolute precision. To fully reap the rewards, you must be focused on consistent action that will lead to sustainable dominance. When you make this shift, you will be able to keep stacking victories over the long haul without it jeopardizing your well-being in the process. The goal here isn't to complete a monumental list of tasks every single day just to make yourself feel good. It's to direct all of your energy and attention towards a worthy objective that will have the biggest impact on your life. What most people don't realize is that this is what separates the amateur from the professional. To accomplish this, you're going to have to detach your self-worth from output. Otherwise, you're going to run the risk of wasting energy and eventually burning out. Now, this doesn't mean reducing effort. I still want you to give it your all. Just make sure that it is being directed properly. It's really all just a matter of being strategic instead of careless. You're bringing order to your life by eliminating chaos. Once this happens, you will be able to incorporate calculated recoveries that will lead to consistent progress and unyielding growth. Regardless of what all the jerk-offs are saying online, you can't just grind all the time. Recovery is absolutely crucial. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's what allows you to avoid burnout. That way, you can continue climbing higher. It's how you sustain optimal performance without falling short. Before you know it, all this consistent progress that you make is going to compound and you're going to accomplish more than you ever thought was possible. I want you to think about it for a moment. How much progress and growth would you actually be able to make if you were not constantly running yourself into the ground? This is how you build true resilience, where your body and mind become bulletproof and you are always moving forward. The benefits of detaching your identity from performance go way beyond just you, though. Oftentimes, it's the people that we care about most that are affected by it. It's inevitable that you're going to become an irritable person when you're constantly burned out, and that is directly going to impact your family and friends. So this isn't just about you. You are learning how to manage this. That way you can show up for those that you truly care about. Now, I know that all of this might sound counterintuitive because modern culture loves to associate busyness with success. But the truth is that not overstacking your plate, not constantly running yourself into the ground is how you actually achieve long-term success. You're going to have to reprogram your beliefs around productivity. You're going to have to realize that it's not just about doing as many things as possible every single day. True productivity is about getting absolute tunnel vision on a single objective and directing all of your energy towards it until it is completed. It is about balancing hard work and optimal recovery. And this is how you're able to stay on the attack day after day. Hopefully, you're starting to realize that you can obtain victory without killing yourself in the pursuit. Understanding it is only one part of the equation, though. Living it is where you will actually see change. So let's dive into the first step. That way you can start seeing progress today. The first place to start, and the only way to really make any change, is with awareness. You have to admit to yourself and acknowledge that your self-worth is tied to performance and why that's not actually a good thing. Now, I can scream this from the mountaintops, but how do you know it's actually true for you? Well, here are a few indicators. You overstack your plate just to feel productive. You feel guilty if you have a slow day. You feel like you're falling behind if you're not constantly stressed out. And the only time that you really experience any sort of happiness is when you're winning big, which is very rare. This can be difficult to accept because you currently associate getting shit done with strength, which it absolutely is, but it's only a strength when you have complete tunnel vision and are fully committed to accomplishing a task that will have a large impact. Doing a bunch of busy work just to feel productive is actually a weakness. The other challenge that you're going to have to overcome is identity. You have spent years believing that all of your value comes from how much you get done every day and how much you can handle. Letting go of that is going to feel like a defeat to your ego, and it's not going to go down without a fight. So you're going to have to prepare for that. It's important to understand that this overall belief is holding you back, and whether you realize it or not, it is bleeding you dry. That's why every time that you accomplish something, any good feelings that you might have for a minute immediately disappear. You're not actually proud of anything that you have done. Your self-worth is so low because you've never taken the time to acknowledge all the progress that you have made. In your mind, nothing is ever good enough. I know that you think that this is just ambition, but it's not. It's actually fear disguised as drive. You are terrified of not being enough unless you suffer for every inch of progress. You are so focused on what everyone else has achieved that you've never taken the time to look at what you have done yourself. This is why awareness is your greatest weapon. Once you recognize the real enemy here, which is that belief that your value is tied to output instead of results, you can begin to fight back. You can begin pouring your time and energy into tasks that actually move the needle instead of wasting it on bullshit that doesn't actually matter. You can start operating from a place of strength instead of anxiety. So, here's a very simple way to get started. At the end of every day, I want you to ask yourself this question. Was I actually moving my life forward today, or was I just staying busy to make myself feel better? If you want to take it a step further, before you begin any task, stop for a second and make sure that it's actually important. Make sure that it is worth your time and energy. You have to think about this differently. You have to realize that you only have one life. Do you really want to waste it on a bunch of stupid shit that doesn't really matter? Or do you want to take that life force and direct it towards something that's actually going to make an impact? Now, I know that this might sound almost too basic, but you will be surprised by the results. What we are doing here is gaining awareness around your actions and disrupting that self-destructive cycle that is ruining your long-term progress. If you are serious about this and you really want to make a change, you will begin noticing when you're starting to burn out and stop it in advance. This is how you continue to compound wins and actually move your life forward. And if you need more help with this, I put together a free energy reclaim challenge. You can find it in the description below. It is a proven method to help you build a daily routine that allows you to stop burning out. That way you can continue stacking victories. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.